I used to think that I have the worst taste in men, but the truth is that I didn't want to be accountable for the fact that I was not really honest with myself, and I actually settled for potential instead of what people showed me. So I don't want this video to be like one of those men are trash videos. No, this is not about that. This is about taking accountability and also like understanding how you play a part in your own suffering, and how you can at least try to learn, to treat it as a learning experience and be able to do better, I guess. um I realize that we often try to see the good in people, like even if they show us over and over and over again that this is not who they are, we often want to see the good in people. And I don't think that is, you know, such a bad thing, wanting to see the good in people, but it does get to a point where it drains you to a point that you no longer recognize yourself, and that is self-sabotage. And that is something that I really used to do, and I really had to do the work for me to stop doing that. So before something becomes a red flag, it's usually a caution sign, because we see the tiny things, and we just like, you know what, we often try to cover up for the person, because I feel like sometimes you can really feel, but because maybe you have this picture painted, you have this fairy tale painted, you want it so bad that you actually turn away from reality and create your own thing. People say Delulu is the Lulu. Okay, sure, like let's be delusional, but imagine if you're being delusional about your dreams and other things. Because if you're being delusional about somebody that keeps on showing you over and over and over again that this is not who they are, it's making a fool of yourself. And I did that. I had a guy that had been in my DMs for a very long time, and I decided to give us a chance. But because it was a long distance thing, I had to travel, and I had to, I had to come see them, and we had a hotel room, and we had a whole, he had everything sorted out. We told me what we're supposed to do that day, and I was so excited to get back in the whole dating thingy. We met, everything was good, and we got intimate. After we got intimate, he was like, I have a work thing, da, da, da. And that was it. He left, and he never came back. If I'm being quite honest, I waited for some time, just giving him the benefit of the doubt to be like, okay, he's just gonna come back. He's gone for working. And he never came back. And I started spiraling. I started literally losing it, because it's like I wanted to control the narrative so bad. I felt like I was out of control, because I was like, ain't no fucking way someone that was in my DM is now treating me like this. But at the end of the day, there are certain things that he has said before that I kind of had questioned. So if I had really taken that into consideration, I could have maybe avoided it. I really don't know. But my point is, if I took him for who he was, so like I was really in denial for a very long time, just trying to make sense of it, trying to understand why someone would do something like that. And I learned that being obsessive over the whole karma thingy, and wishing that people did you dirty, and you wish like that they should suffer and everything, the world doesn't work like that, because the world that we live in is not based off morality. So the best thing you could do is actually get your shit together. So it took me a very long time to try to understand, okay, what did I do to make, and I never really got the answer, because I tried to blame myself instead of accepting what had happened, because of the shame that comes with it. Do you understand what it's like? And like, how do you even tell someone to say, I met up with someone and we were intimate and they left me? So that's the shame that I had. And I was so agitated to a point where I was like, you know what? From now on, it's fuck men. From now on, it's use men. That's not who I am as a person. That's not who I am, and that's not who I want to be. It's okay that there are people out there that have that kind of mentality and that they do that. But what am I doing if I become the person that I resented? The person that I claim to be the villain? and I become that person. So what am I doing? The best thing you could do is take people for who they are. This applies to everything. It's the same thing for me with friendships, right? I used to, you could really see that you're not aligned with these type of people, but I wanted to fit in so bad because no one really talks about the loneliness, you know. I didn't want to feel alone, so I put myself in situations that I personally knew were not good for me because I didn't want to be alone. And that will do so much damage. The moment that you feel that no, this is not right for me, the moment that you understand that this is not how I want to be treated, the best thing you could do is leave that situation. Because this whole obsession of us wanting to change people, where we could take them as who they are and just be like, okay, this is a fucked up person, sure thing, I want no parts. As simple as that. I have been using that approach now, and it's actually been for the better. So I need you to understand that sometimes we really try to ignore reality. We try to ignore reality so much. And when it's all said and done, it's like now we're trying to point fingers. Now we're trying to find who to blame because it's easier to blame people. That's why I was saying it was easier for me to say, oh, men are trash. Because I didn't want to look at myself in the mirror and be like, T, you know better than that. You shouldn't have done something like that. I didn't want to do that. And that really cost me. And maybe you are in the same situation as I am. And I always stress about the type of friends that you have because when I was in the situation, I remember hitting up someone and I was so vulnerable with them and what they told me, I was just like, bro, you're making the situation so worse. So I feel like it's also important we have friends that we confide in when silly things happen. And I always say have grace with yourself. Give yourself as much grace as possible, but also take accountability. You understand? For me, taking accountability is not like I look at myself because I used to self-sabotage a lot. I look at myself and I just really try to understand and I go through everything. I'm like, okay. Taking accountability doesn't always have to be rough. Like you don't always have to be rough with yourself. It could literally just be a reality check where you're like, okay, so this is what happened. What can I do to move forward? Because if you're not careful, you'll be stuck in the same cycle over and over and over and over again, trying to find who to blame. But you could just take the situation as it is. So I have been using that approach, and it has been such a game changer. I'm not gonna lie and say it's not painful. Like it hurts. It hurts. You're probably going to hurt a lot. You probably if you need to cry, because I feel like letting go of people is not just as easy as we say. People always like choose yourself, put yourself first, bro. That is easier said than done because choosing yourself and putting yourself first comes with a lot of emotions, and like some of those emotions can really be overwhelming. But I just hope you don't become the person that you hate. I hope like the pain doesn't make you or change you into someone you can barely recognize. For evil, really, if you're not the type of person, you're not. And I feel like once you've really done the work and once you protect that softness, people that are meant to be in your life, you'll find them. To a point I was like, I want to close my heart. I don't ever want to love, but like loving doesn't always have to be like romantic relationships. I've supported friends. I have family that I love. I have friends that support me so much. I want to love them. I want to show them that I appreciate them. I don't have to become this stone cold person or whatever. There are people that are like that. Let them. That's the part that they chose. But you know better. It's okay to want to see the good in people, like I said. But if people keep on showing you over and over and over again, because I always say this, I would never treat people that I care for the same way. It should be the same for people. So you might lose yourself trying to really understand why people do what they do or why people act the way that they act. They probably have their reasons, but that is not your place now. Your place is to take care of yourself and make sure that you you are there for yourself.